Sarah POV. Life isn't as simple as a fairy tale, it has its lighter and darker shades. I used to believe that everything would always have a happy ending. Maybe it was because I was too naive growing up, but I always thought my life would be like a fairy tale, or at least I hoped it would get better one day. My mom, Sophia, passed away when I was just 5, and a few years later, my father, Neil Darrell, started dating Lisa. Soon, Lisa and her daughter Chloe moved into our house. In the beginning, Lisa was kind to me, but as soon as she married my father, she began showing her true, darker side. Chloe and I were the same age, but Lisa made sure that Chloe received all the attention from both her and my dad. After a few months, I noticed how Dad started to ignore me as he got caught up in his perfect new family. Over time, I became just an extra, unwanted family member that no one cared about. My only happy place was with my maternal grandparents, who lived in Italy. We made sure to visit each other whenever we could. Besides my grandparents, I loved only 2 other people in the world as much as my family, my childhood best friends, Jessica Martin and Adrian Parker. The 3 of us were inseparable until Adrian moved to a boarding school in London. Jessica and I stayed close and kept in touch with Adrian every weekend. However, as soon as I started high school, Jessica began to ignore me, preferring to hang out with Chloe instead. Soon, they became best friends, and even Adrian stopped replying to my messages and calls. As time passed, everyone around me seemed to compare me to Chloe or other girls. Lisa constantly insulted my looks and clothes and made sure others treated me the same way. Even my dad started to see me as a disgrace. I tolerated all the insults, abuse, and mistreatment, but eventually, I realized that enduring it only made them stronger. As little girls, we're often told stories of distressed damsels who need saving. But as I grew older, I realized I didn't need a Prince Charming to save me. The only person capable of saving me was myself. I needed to become a strong, independent woman and stand up for myself. I had to overcome my obstacles and fight my own battles. I was clear about my future and goals by the time I finished high school. I worked hard to get into a top university, and my efforts paid off when I was accepted into Harvard with a full scholarship. Moving to Boston from New York was a whole new experience for me. It was the first time I was escaping the hell of my family and my old life. In Boston, no one judged me for my clothes or looks, people wanted to be my friend because of who I was. University life opened up new experiences for me, it helped me discover the real me. I balanced my studies during the day with a part-time job and the evenings to manage my expenses. 5 years later, I now hold a dual master's degree in engineering and an MBA. Tomorrow, I'll be leaving Boston and returning to NYC after almost 5 years. During this time, neither my family nor Jessica or Adrian tried to contact me. My grandfather offered financial support, but I barely touched it. As I packed my belongings and prepared for the airport, I tied my hair into a ponytail and examined my reflection in the mirror. My brown hair now cascaded down to my waist. I used to prefer short hair until high school. My round face was almost bare, with minimal makeup. My glasses were gone, and my hazel eyes, framed by thick lashes, were perfectly coated with mascara. Before coming to Boston, I had little knowledge of makeup, but after moving here, I learned to groom myself well. My roommate, Esther Caswell, supported me through these 5 years. She's the sister I never had. When I initially moved here, I was pale and thin, mainly because I hardly got anything to eat at home, most of the food was leftovers. Throughout my university days, I focused on my studies, career, and health. Standing at 5 feet 6 inches, I'm neither too fat nor too thin. Although I'm still a bit insecure about my body, according to Esther, I have curves in all the right places. Esther is visiting her parents for a week, and she'll be moving to NYC soon as well. After taking one last look in the mirror, I grabbed my belongings and called a cab. Soon, I was on my way to the airport, hoping that everything would go well. Dot. 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 Little did I know, this journey back to NYC was going to turn my life upside down. Sarah POV. It's been a week since I arrived in NYC. As soon as I landed in my birthplace, I got busy unpacking and setting up my home. This house was bought by my mother before she died. She wanted to keep it as a home, yet now, no family member is here with me today. My family knew about my arrival, but no one had tried to meet me or contact me. I brushed off those thoughts and continued sipping my coffee while sitting in the living room when I heard my phone ring. I quickly stood up and grabbed the phone lying on the desk. A smile formed on my lips when I saw the name on the screen, and I answered the call. Hello, Grandpa. How are you? How is Grandma doing? We're both fine, dear. How are you? Have you settled into your new home? He asked excitedly. Yes, Grandpa, I've settled in. I just wish you both were here with me, I replied, a bit sadly, making my grandpa chuckle. We'll be coming to NYC this weekend, sweetheart. It's time I finally hand over the company to you, Grandpa said in a serious tone. Yes, Grandpa, I remember that. I just hope I can handle the responsibilities well. You'll do great, my dear. You're perfect for leading the company, Grandpa assured me. Well, let's hope for the best, I said, trying to stay positive. Okay, sweetie, see you this weekend, Grandpa said. Sure, Grandpa. Say hello to Grandma for me. Bye. I disconnected the call and started reflecting on how different things are now. My grandpa, Stephen DeMario, never trusted my father after what he did to me when Mom died. My grandpa started this company when he was in his 20s, and my mom was the legal heiress since she was an only child. After she married my father, they both managed the company well until my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Gradually, my mother spent most of her time at home or in the hospital, while my father managed our company. But my grandpa made sure that once I turned 21, the company would be legally transferred to me. I remembered how badly Lisa treated me so that she and her daughter could get all the benefits from the company. Money was all she cared about. Lisa made sure I didn't fit the criteria to handle the company in the future. She even manipulated my father into trying to stop my education after high school, and she was somewhat successful. My father told me I wasn't capable of attending university. Although I always maintained good grades, I wasn't the top of my class, but I was among the few good students who consistently performed well throughout high school. I still remember those dreadful memories, which haunt me with nightmares to this day. Flashback. I had just come back from high school and was busy finishing my assignments when Jessica and Chloe burst into my room. Hey, ugly bitch. I heard you called Adrian last week, Jessica said angrily. Yes, I did. I was missing him, and it's been a long time since we talked, I replied without looking at her. Well, an ugly duckling like you doesn't deserve a friend like Adrian. I don't know why Adrian even decided to be your friend, Chloe said loudly. I guess he chooses his friends regardless of how they look or how rich they are. Let him decide who he wants to be friends with, I said. As soon as those words left my mouth, I felt something hard hit my face. I felt blood at the corner of my lips. Before I could comprehend what had happened, Jessica punched me in the stomach. Before I could defend myself, Chloe grabbed my arms from behind. Jessica slapped me again, and when she was done with the abuse, she spat in my face. I guess you've learned your lesson, bitch. Stay away from Adrian, or next time, the consequences will be worse, Jessica said angrily before they both left my room. Before leaving, they made sure to ruin my assignment, tearing it apart even though I needed to submit it the next day. I sat there crying, hugging myself. I didn't understand why they had a problem with my friendship with Adrian. He was the only friend I had left. I wiped my tears and decided to start my assignment over from scratch. Finally, after 3 hours, I finished my assignment. When I noticed the time, it was already 1 a.m. My stomach rumbled, but I chose to go to bed. I didn't want any more drama that night. Flashback ends. I sighed, remembering those memories. I hated myself back then for not standing up against the abuse. Maybe I was weak, I didn't have any support at that time. Although Grandpa and Grandma always suspected something was wrong, I didn't want them to stress over me. Today, I'm a stronger person. I can protect myself now. I even learned basic self-defense when I enrolled in university. Seeing how strong and decisive I am today gives me the confidence to take on the responsibility of being the heiress of DeMario Enterprises. Adrian POV. I've always gotten everything I wanted in life, from money to power. I had the finest of it all. At 25, I'm one of the most successful businessmen in the country. 2 years ago, my dad entrusted me with the full responsibility of the company, and today, it's one of the leading corporations in the USA. But the best part of my life is the love of my life, Jessica Martin. She's everything a man could ever ask for. I've known Jessica since we were about 5 years old, but at 12, I moved to a boarding school in London. Despite the distance, Jessica and I always stayed in contact, and she supported me through every up and down. During vacations, we always made sure to spend time together. I even remember Sarah, who used to be a good friend of ours. But after I moved to London, she started ignoring Jessica and even asked her to stay away from me. Jessica always told me how Sarah bullied her in high school. As time went on, Jessica only grew more beautiful, both inside and out. 2 years ago, after I took over the company, I asked her to be my girlfriend. With her, my life felt complete. She was not only pretty but also incredibly intelligent and talented. She was one of the top students in school and even got a scholarship to Harvard, but she chose to follow her passion for modeling. Today, she's one of the highest paid models in the industry. My thoughts were interrupted by a knock on my office door. Without looking up, I told the person to come in. I heard the click of heels on the floor and caught the familiar scent of perfume. Jessica walked towards me and sat on my desk. "Good afternoon, love," I said, moving closer and taking her hands in mine. "Hey, babe," she replied seductively, placing her other hand on my chest. "How was your day?" I asked. She started telling me about her photo shoot that morning while I admired the beauty sitting before me. She looked amazing in that fitted white dress, her blonde mid-length hair perfectly styled and falling onto her shoulders. As a model, she had a flawlessly toned body. She was perfect, and I was the luckiest man to have her in my life. "Adrian, what are you wearing to your parents' wedding anniversary?" "I want our outfits to coordinate since that's when you'll tell your parents about us," she said as she adjusted my tie. "Well, you don't need to worry about that, love. My secretary has taken care of our outfits. You'll get the dress by tomorrow," I replied. "Ah, thank you so much," she said happily. "Now, if you're done with work, can we go home?" "Sure, babe. Let me just call my secretary," I said, moving toward the phone to inform Josh of my departure. I put on my coat, took Jessica's hand, and we interlocked our fingers as we walked toward the elevator. I headed to my black Bugatti Veyron, opening the door for Jessica before jogging to the driver's seat. After starting the car, I soon stopped at a lavish Italian restaurant for dinner. We chose a seat in the corner of the restaurant, ordered wine, and started discussing our future plans. The waiter arrived to take our dinner order. Due to her strict diet, Jessica ordered a salad, while I decided on spaghetti bolognese. "Do you think your parents will accept our relationship?" Jessica asked while sipping her wine. "I don't think your mother is fond of me," she added as I narrowed my eyes. "Why do you feel that way, Jess?" "Ever since you came back from London, I've tried to talk to her, but she always ends up bringing up Sarah in the conversation. She keeps telling me how sweet and kind Sarah is and how the three of us should hang out together like old times," Jessica said in a sad tone. My jaw clenched at the mention of Sarah's name. What she did to Jessica was enough for me to hate her for the rest of my life. "Sarah doesn't deserve to be our friend after what she did to you when I was gone. My mom doesn't know how ugly her true face is. Once she finds out, she'll stop talking about her," I replied angrily. Even remembering how Sarah treated Jessica made my blood boil. Because of her, Jessica had to endure so many difficulties and traumas. "Relax, babe. She's gone now. We don't have to worry about her," Jessica assured me, caressing my hand. I smiled at her as the waiter brought our dinner. We ate while discussing the arrangements for my parents' anniversary party. Once we were done, I paid the bill, and we drove back to my penthouse. I moved out of my parents' house 2 years ago and bought my place. After Jessica and I started dating, I asked her to move in with me. She's partially moved in, but she hasn't fully moved in yet. Warning: adult content. As soon as we entered the penthouse, I slammed my lips against Jessica's. I grabbed her hair, causing her to tilt her head back, and I started kissing her neck hungrily, making her moan loudly. Soon, we ended up on the couch. By this time, I had successfully removed her dress. She lay beneath me in her black lingerie, looking at me seductively as she started unbuttoning my shirt. Once she removed my shirt, followed by my pants, she took my member in her hand and began stroking it. She teased me, licking my erection, and I groaned loudly. She smirked at my reaction and swiftly took all of it into her mouth. She kept sucking and teasing me with her tongue. I moved my hands to her bra and removed it in one go. Once she finished, I pushed her back on the couch and tore off her panties. I slid inside her and started thrusting hard. The room filled with our loud moans. We ended up going for a second round and then showered together. Afterwards, we were so exhausted that we went straight to bed. I hugged her tightly in my arms, and soon, we both fell asleep. Adrian POV. The past few days have been chaotic, as my parents' wedding anniversary is approaching. I've been busy with the arrangements for the party. It's also the day I plan to officially tell my parents about Jessica and my intention to marry her by the end of the year. I even bought a ring for Jessica. If everything goes well, I'll propose to her at the party in front of everyone. I looked up when I heard a knock on my office door and saw my father, James Parker, entering with a serious expression. "How are you, son? We hardly see you these days. Your mom misses you a lot," he said, sitting on the couch. "I've just been caught up with work, Dad. I'll definitely visit Mom today," I replied while scanning some important files. "I need to discuss something important with you. It's about the company." I put my file down and turned to face him, waiting for him to continue. "Since you've taken over the company, your mother and I think it's time for you to settle down. You'll be turning 26 this year, and we believe it's time for you to get married." Hearing this, I thought it was the perfect moment to tell him about Jessica, but before I could, he continued. "We've decided you should marry the granddaughter of Stephen DeMario. She's the heiress of the DeMario family. Mr. DeMario was a close friend of your grandfather, so it would be a perfect match," my father revealed with a big smile. I was in complete shock. I couldn't imagine marrying anyone other than Jessica. "No, Dad, I don't want to marry anyone else. I've already decided what I want in life, and marrying some heiress isn't part of it," I said angrily. "In that case, the company will be transferred to Mr. DeMario's granddaughter. Your grandfather and Mr. DeMario signed an agreement that you and his granddaughter must marry, allowing the Parker and DeMario companies to merge for mutual benefit," he said calmly. "I'm still not marrying her." "To hell with this stupid agreement," I snapped angrily. "Oh, son, you must marry her. If you refuse, 40% of Parker Enterprises will go to her. If she refuses, 40% of DeMario Enterprises will come to us. If you both refuse, 50% of each company's shares will go to charity," he explained. I heaved a big sigh, annoyed and worried about how to explain this to Jessica. Every plan I made for us seemed to be crumbling. "I'll leave now, your mother is probably waiting for me," he said, walking out of my office. As I pondered this new problem, my phone rang. It was Jessica. I answered, and her sweet voice came through the line. "Hey, babe. Are you still at the office? Did you forget about our date night at my place?" she asked. I had completely forgotten about the date night due to my busy schedule, but I quickly covered my negligence. "Of course, love. I can't wait to see you," I said, smirking at the thought of holding her in my arms tonight. "All right, see you at 7 then." "Bye, love you," she said. "Love you too, babe." I hung up and went back to thinking about how to handle this marriage situation. How would Jessica react? I immediately called my best friend, Noah. He's the CEO of Parker Enterprises. We met in boarding school, and we've been best friends ever since. I picked up the intercom and called my secretary. "Could you please ask Mr. Andrews to come to my office immediately?" Within 10 minutes, Noah walked in. "Hey, everything good?" he asked as he sat down across from me. "My father wants me to marry Mr. DeMario's granddaughter, or else the company goes to charity." "What? No way. We've worked so hard for the company these past 2 years. It would all be wasted if it goes to charity," Noah exclaimed. "What about Jessica? Did you tell her?" "Not yet, bro. I'm planning to tell her tonight," I replied, massaging my temples. "Isn't DeMario Enterprises owned by Neil Darrow?" Noah asked. I immediately realized he was right. If Neil Darrow is running DeMario Enterprises, then the granddaughter I'm supposed to marry is Chloe Darrow, I said, connecting the dots. "Exactly. You can talk to Jessica about this. She can easily convince Chloe to refuse the proposal since they're best friends," Noah suggested. That's what I was thinking. I need to get to Jessica's place now. I quickly left the office and headed to Jessica's apartment. I arrived and rang the bell. Within seconds, she opened the door. A smile formed on my face as I saw her. She wrapped her arms around my shoulders and kissed me. I kissed her back passionately. Soon, we were undressed and made our way to the bedroom. After hours of being together, we finally went downstairs for dinner. I ordered sushi since Jessica can barely cook. To be honest, she's a terrible cook. She can hardly boil water, but she's perfect in every other way, and she's all I want. We finished dinner, talking about our day when I suddenly remembered the conversation with my dad. "Babe, I need to tell you something important," I said, holding her hands close to my chest. I explained the entire situation, from the marriage proposal to the merger, and the consequences if we backed out. Before I could tell her about Chloe, she snapped at me angrily, "So you want to leave me and marry some random brat now?" "No, babe, the only person I want to marry is you. I can't even think of marrying someone else," I reassured her. "And this marriage won't happen. All you need to do is convince Chloe to refuse the proposal." "Chloe? What does she have to do with this proposal?" she asked. "She's the granddaughter I'm supposed to marry, and since she's your best friend, you can easily convince her to refuse," I explained. A smile formed on her lips, and she hugged me tightly. "That can be done easily. She's dating Justin now, so I doubt she'd ever want to marry you," she said happily. "And I'll never marry or love anyone but you," I told her, pressing my lips to her forehead. Sarah POV. I felt tense and doomed after hearing what Grandpa and Grandma told me. They arrived in the States last night, and today they've given me the biggest shock of my life. According to them, I must marry for the merger or lose a 40% share of Amario Enterprises. Before they could finish their next sentence, I slammed my hands on my lap and stood up. "I can't accept this proposal, Grandpa. I just graduated, and right now, I want to explore new things. I don't want to get married so soon. Sweetheart, we're not forcing you, but we want someone strong to take care of you. Grandpa and I are getting old, dear. We won't always be here to support you. That's why we want you to be secure and happy," Grandma said, making me sit down again as she held my hands. I thought about everything happening. When it comes to marriage, love, respect, and trust are the pillars of happiness. I've always been nervous about relationships, scared of rejection and being unloved. I feared I'd be the one trying to maintain the relationship while the other person didn't care. "Sarah, we always want what's best for you. But remember, if you reject this proposal, the company will be ruined. This company was your mother's dream. Sophia worked hard to bring it to where it is today. But honey, we don't want to force you," Grandpa said, comforting me. Thinking about my mother, I wondered what she would do in my place. Would she accept this to save the company? She worked tirelessly until her illness confined her to bed. "Grandpa, I need to think this over. I'll let you know my decision soon," I said with a weak smile and left. I went to my room and closed the door. I lay on my bed, replaying the conversation with Grandpa and Grandma. I never thought I'd get married so soon, let alone just for the sake of the company. But deep down, I knew this company held my mother's memories, her hard work, and her dream of making Amario Enterprises one of the leading companies in the world. I always thought that when I married, it would be for love, not a business deal. I never had time to date in high school. I was always busy with studies and a part-time job. If any guy tried to ask me out, Chloe and Jessica made sure I never went. I still remember the night after graduation when there was a party at our house. Flashback. I was in my room, checking my email about the applications I had submitted to various universities. I could hear the loud music coming from downstairs. Chloe had invited everyone to the party. She even asked me to join, but I politely declined, knowing she and Jessica would likely have a plan to humiliate me again. Suddenly, I heard a knock on my door. I closed my laptop and walked over. Opening it, I saw Justin standing there, holding 2 cans of beer. "Hey, Sarah," he greeted me and walked into my room, sitting on my bed and looking around. "Hey, Justin. What brings you here?" I asked, walking towards him. Justin was in the same grade as me and Chloe. He was one of the popular guys in high school. We weren't close friends, but we had worked on some projects and assignments together. He seemed like a genuine guy. "Why are you sitting here alone? Why didn't you come downstairs and join us?" he asked. Well, I don't like loud music, and I'm not used to these parties. Besides, I had some important work to do, I told him. Oh, that's all right. Everyone has their own tastes and choices, he said, offering me one of the beers he was holding. I politely declined. Come on, relax a bit, Sarah. One beer won't harm you, he chuckled. I hesitated but eventually accepted the beer and took a sip. One beer won't harm me. So, what are your plans after high school? He asked, drinking his beer. Well, I'm planning to study architecture, but I haven't decided which university to choose. Before I could say more, I started feeling dizzy. I could hear Justin talking, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. I could faintly hear Chloe and Jessica's voices inside the room. I heard them talking, but I couldn't make out the words. Jessica's voice came closer as she whispered in my right ear. Let's have some fun, Sarah, she said, laughing wickedly. I tried to get up, but Chloe pushed me back onto the bed. My t-shirt was yanked off aggressively, and my jeans were pulled down. I tried to shout for help, but no words came out. I could hear Chloe, Jessica, and Justin giggling. I was lying there in just my underwear. Someone pulled me closer, and I heard Justin whisper something in my ear. All I could understand was that they were up to something terrible. Justin gripped my waist, then started sucking on my neck. Please. Don't, I begged them. But they didn't stop. After a few minutes, I heard Jessica say it was enough, they'd gotten what they wanted. I sighed in relief, but then I felt someone tugging at my hair. Before I could react, they started cutting it. I struggled with what little energy I had left, but a sharp kick to my ribs knocked me out. Flashback ends. When I regained consciousness, it was already the next day. I was still on the bed, my underwear torn. When I looked in the mirror, I saw bruises around my ribs and abdomen. My hair was nearly all gone, I was almost bald. Jessica, Justin, and Chloe had made a video of me and Justin in bed. In the video, only my face was visible, while only Justin's back was shown. They shared the video on every social media platform, and the whole school assumed I had shot it and shared it to gain popularity. I even told Dad, but he blamed me for not being careful. Later, he chose to believe others, thinking I had purposely shared the video. A tear slipped down my cheek, but I quickly wiped it away. Because of that night, I couldn't trust any guy. Although I managed to overcome this fear when I moved to Boston, becoming more comfortable around new people, I still struggled. I even went on a few dates, but things never progressed. I was still uncomfortable with intimacy and trusting anyone. Thinking about the marriage proposal, I realized I still didn't know who I was supposed to marry. All I knew from Grandpa was that he was the young CEO of a rapidly growing construction company. I spent the whole night tossing and turning in bed, thinking about the marriage and the company merger. By 4 a.m., after a night of deep contemplation, I was finally ready with my decision. Sarah POV. It was nearly 11 in the morning, and I was ready with my decision. I went downstairs and knocked on Grandpa's door. He opened it. I entered the room and saw Grandma sitting on the couch, reading a magazine. I sat next to her while Grandpa sat across from us. I cleared my throat before speaking. Grandpa, Grandma, I've made my decision. I want to save my mother's company. I don't want to lose Amario Enterprises. I'm ready for the marriage, I told them. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw both my grandparents beaming with happiness. Grandma immediately hugged me tightly. Oh Sarah, I knew you would make the right decision. I'm sure this marriage and merger will bring much happiness to your life, Grandpa said while kissing my forehead. I'm sure you'll fulfill the responsibilities of both a wife and the new CEO of Amario Enterprises, Grandma said, clasping her hands together. Both Grandma and Grandpa started discussing the merger and wedding. It had been ages since I'd seen them this happy. When Mom was alive, we always spent our vacations with Grandpa and Grandma. We used to have so much fun then. Mom and Grandma would bake cakes and muffins together, while Dad and Grandpa taught me horseback riding and swimming. Those were some of my happiest memories with my family. Thinking of my father made me realize it had been 5 years since I'd seen him. During those years, he never contacted me, and I didn't make any effort either. Before moving back here, I hoped he might visit, but it's been nearly a month since I returned, and he hasn't shown up. Sarah, dear, you'll be coming with me to Amario Enterprises tomorrow to sign the documents. You'll also meet your fiancé before signing, Grandpa informed me. Yes, dear, it would be good if you two met and got to know each other before the wedding, Grandma added. I gave them a weak smile, but deep inside, I was nervous about the whole situation. Suddenly, it occurred to me that I still didn't know the name of the person I was marrying. Grandpa, may I know the name of the person I'm marrying? I asked. Oh. Well, his name is Adrian Parker, the CEO of Parker Enterprises, he replied. As soon as he said the name, I felt the ground slip from under my feet. Adrian Parker? The son of James and Lauren Parker? I asked, hoping it wasn't him. Yes, sweetheart, he's the one, he answered. I was utterly shocked. He was the same Adrian Parker who used to be my friend, a friend who abandoned me and our friendship. I'll see you later, I have some work to do, I told them and kissed their cheeks. I immediately grabbed my car keys and started driving without a specific destination. After an hour, I found myself standing in front of my mother's grave. I sat there for hours, remembering how happy our lives were when she was alive. Maybe I wouldn't be in this situation if she were here. Maybe I would have had a normal life with a happy family. But now, everything is different, nothing is as I imagined or wished. I still remember Adrian Parker, the guy who used to be one of my close friends along with Jessica, but it's been years since we talked or saw each other. When he left for London, we three promised to stay connected no matter what. Even when Jessica started ignoring me, Adrian and I stayed in touch through emails, social media, and calls. But slowly, the calls became less frequent, and eventually, he stopped calling altogether. I tried reaching out, but my calls went to voicemail. We were still connected through messages and emails, but by the end of sophomore year, he stopped replying. Occasionally, I overheard Jessica and Chloe talking about Adrian. I heard them discuss the plans Adrian and Jessica made for her visit to London that summer. It became clear he was purposely avoiding me. Maybe he chose Jessica over me, though all I wanted was for us three to stay friends. But they both decided to throw me out of their lives as if our friendship meant nothing to them. Flashback. It had been almost 2 years since I last heard from Adrian. He visited New York every summer, and he came for vacation that year too. I saw him hanging out with Chloe and Jessica the other day. I was in my room, finishing up a painting, when I heard noises from downstairs, indicating Chloe had brought her friends over again. I decided to ignore them and continue my work. After finishing my painting, I heard my stomach growl. I quickly put on my hoodie and went to the kitchen to grab something to eat. As I headed back to my room, holding a mug of hot coffee, I heard Chloe call from the living room. Hey Sarah, what are you doing alone? Come join us, she said. No, thanks, I've got some work to do, I politely declined. I was about to leave when I suddenly heard Adrian's voice. Come on, Sarah, join us. A few minutes won't hurt, he insisted. Though my instincts told me not to, I decided to join them for a few minutes. I walked into the living room, holding my coffee mug. I saw familiar faces from school, including Jessica and Justin. I smiled and looked at Adrian. It had been so long since I'd seen him up close. As I walked toward the couch, Chloe stuck out her leg, causing me to lose my balance. I fell flat on the floor, spilling my coffee all over Jessica. Before I could even stand, Chloe started shouting. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Sarah? You're always finding ways to harm or insult Jessica, she yelled. I didn't do it on purpose, I'm so sorry, Jessica, I said, standing up. Ah, it's fine, Sarah, Jessica said, though I could see the smirk on her face. No, it's not fine. You did that on purpose. Adrian, this isn't the first time she's harmed Jessica, Chloe said, as Adrian was busy wiping Jessica with cold water. I knew you always hated Jessica, but I didn't know you could actually hurt her, Adrian said angrily. Before I could defend myself, Adrian grabbed me harshly and pushed me out of the room. Get out of here, I don't want someone like you near me or Jessica. I could sense his anger and hatred in his voice, but I also saw his concern for Jessica in his eyes. Without further explanation, I ran to my room and shut the door behind me. I knew Chloe and Jessica would torture me again once everyone left, as I had ruined their evening. I was angry at myself for being a coward, I was tired of being weak and fragile. Flashback ends. That was the last time I saw him. After that, I did my best to avoid him, especially around Jessica and Chloe. And now, I'm supposed to marry him. How can I deal with him? What if he hates me? How will I handle being around him? I sat there for hours, thinking about everything, remembering my family and mother. Finally, as it grew dark, I decided to go home. You need to be strong, Sarah. You can survive this. Adrian POV. Tomorrow is the day we sign the agreement with Amerio Enterprises. I was anxious about the marriage and merger, but Jessica reassured me that Chloe would handle everything. She explained the entire situation the other day, and we discussed the plan regarding the agreement last evening. Dad hasn't mentioned anything about this agreement yet. Maybe he's waiting until the last minute so I can't back out. What if he doesn't listen to me if I refuse to marry? Chloe asked nervously. Chloe had a point. What if her dad didn't accept her decision? Don't worry, I have a backup plan, Jessica interrupted. Noah entered the room carrying his coffee and sat beside me. What are you guys talking about? Noah asked as he placed his cup on the table. About how to decline the marriage agreement without Adrian losing his company, Jessica informed him. Well, as I was saying, the backup plan is if Chloe's father opposes her decision, Adrian and Chloe can proceed with the agreement and get engaged. But as the wedding day approaches, you can back out, Jessica explained. Noah looked amused, while Chloe still seemed confused. Also, it's not stated anywhere in the agreement that you can't separate or divorce later. Once the merger is finalized, Adrian can tell his parents he wants to marry me, not Chloe, Jessica said, running her fingers through her hair. We'll try this for now since we don't have any other option, I agreed, and we ended our discussion. We had dinner together, and then everyone went home. I asked Jessica to stay with me because I wanted her to accompany me to the company tomorrow. The next morning, Jessica and I were on our way to Amerio Enterprises. I held Jessica's hand, and she kept reminding me that everything would go as planned. When we arrived at our destination, I intertwined my hand with Jessica's as we entered the lobby. Everyone stopped working and focused on us. I smirked, seeing their reactions. We informed the receptionist of our arrival, and she directed us to the 28th floor, where the conference room was. As we entered, I saw my father talking to Neil Darrell. Chloe was sitting next to her father, looking tense. There was also an older man with a strong, authoritative presence. Good morning, everyone, I greeted them. I took a seat next to my father, while Jessica sat beside Chloe. My father gave Jessica a confused look but chose to ignore her and turned his attention to the older man. The older man cleared his throat to gain everyone's attention. Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen DeMario. I started this company, and later, my daughter continued building it. I hope you all know why we're here. We're here for the merger to strengthen our relations, he said seriously. Neil Darrell looked tense, sweating despite the air conditioning. This company has been handled by my son-in-law, Neil Darrell. But now, I want to transfer full authority to my granddaughter. She will be the new CEO. As per the agreement, the legal heiress of Amerio Enterprises must marry the heir of Parker Enterprises, he stated firmly. I was surprised Chloe would be CEO, her interests lie more in parties, clothes, and makeup than in business. Is it mandatory for the heir and heiress to marry? I asked, earning a sharp look from my father, signaling me to be quiet. Yes, son, it's necessary as per the agreement. You know the consequences if not, Mr. DeMario answered. A man in his late 20s handed me the contract papers. I was about to read them when I heard Mr. DeMario speaking nervously on the phone. He seemed disturbed and worried. I looked at Jessica, who nodded, urging me to proceed. I signed the documents and returned the file to the man. Chloe reached for the file, but Mr. DeMario took it back. Jessica, Chloe, and I were confused, as was Mr. Darrell. Isn't Chloe going to sign? Jessica asked. Why would Chloe sign? We didn't even need her here, Mr. DeMario replied, looking confused. Isn't she the one I'm marrying? As per the agreement, I have to marry your granddaughter, so Chloe's signature is needed, I said. You're marrying Sarah Darrell, the heiress of Amerio Enterprises, my real granddaughter, he said seriously. My head started spinning. I was supposed to marry Sarah Darrell. I grabbed the file and read the name. It was indeed Sarah Darrell, and she had already signed the papers. The last time I heard about Sarah was 5 years ago when she ran away with a guy after making a video that went viral on social media. Sarah isn't capable of handling this business. I think you've made the wrong decision, Mr. Darrell said, shaking with anger. I don't need anyone's advice on my decisions, especially when it concerns my company, Mr. DeMario hissed. Everyone was shocked except my father. I couldn't imagine marrying her. She was one of those selfish, mean people I despised. Sorry, I can't marry her. That's my final decision. I want someone of my class and standard, someone who can stand beside me as my wife. I don't think Sarah is the one, I said, about to leave. Suddenly, I heard my dad's voice. If you back out of this marriage, you'll not only lose the shares but also Parker Enterprises. I'll transfer everything to your cousin, Enrique, my dad warned. I stopped, stunned. I couldn't believe him. He knew how hard I worked for the company. I sighed in frustration. I couldn't let this happen. I couldn't lose Parker Enterprises. Okay, I'll do it, I agreed reluctantly. Jessica's eyes filled with tears, but this was my only option since I had already signed the papers. Good. We'll announce your engagement this weekend at the anniversary party, my dad informed me. I left with Jessica. During the ride, I tried to comfort her, but she kept crying. Once we reached my apartment, I made her sit on the bed and calm down. Jessica, please stop crying, love, I said, hugging her tightly. She always ruins my life. She steals everything from me. I can't lose you, Adrian, she said, sobbing. I'm just doing this for the merger, babe. Once everything is under control, it'll be over. I'll leave her, I assured her. What if it doesn't happen? What if she doesn't leave you? What if you fall for her trap? She asked between sobs. Sweetheart, that'll never happen. There's only one girl in my life, and that's you. I'll make sure she regrets signing those papers and all the bad things she did to you in the past, I promised. I will always love you, Jessica Martin, I confessed, kissing her forehead. I love you too, Adrian, she replied. I just hope everything goes according to plan. I can't afford to lose my company or Jessica. I'll make sure Sarah regrets everything and begs me to leave her. I will. I have to. _ Sarah POV. It's been 4 days since I signed the agreement at home. I was about to leave for the company with Grandpa that day when suddenly Grandma started feeling uneasy. We immediately called our family doctor, who examined Grandma and told us that her blood pressure had dropped, causing her discomfort. He prescribed some medication and advised her to stay in bed for the next 2 days. Grandpa wanted to cancel the meeting, but Grandma insisted that we proceed as planned. Therefore, I signed the papers at home and asked Grandpa to handle the meeting. A few hours after Grandpa left for the company, Grandma began to feel a bit better. I was in the kitchen preparing soup for her when Grandpa walked back into the house. He asked about Grandma's health and later informed me that the agreement had been signed. Adrian and I will be engaged at Adrian's parents' anniversary party, which is scheduled for this week. The rest of the week passed in a blur. I was mostly preoccupied with adjusting to the new environment and spent the last 2 days thoroughly researching Parker Enterprises. I learned that Adrian, at the age of 25, is now a successful young billionaire. Over the years, he has taken the company to new heights since becoming CEO, and it has gained a stellar reputation in the construction sector. Aside from business, there is little information about his personal life in the tabloids. He has never been seen dating anyone or involved in any scandal, which is quite unusual for a billionaire. Tonight, I will finally meet Adrian and his family at the anniversary celebration. I still don't know how Adrian feels about this merger and our impending marriage. I don't expect him to fall in love with me or to live as a typical couple, but I do hope we can handle this situation with civility. I glanced at the time. It was almost 6 in the evening, and I needed to be at the event by 8. Grandma had ordered a dress for me and insisted that I get ready with the help of a professional, but I declined. I prefer getting ready on my own, though she made sure our maid Emma was available to assist me. I took a quick shower and entered my vanity room to start my makeup. I concealed a few blemishes, used bronzer to add some definition to my face, and applied a light eyeshadow base with smoky winged eyeliner. I finished with mascara and opted for nude lipstick. I then took out the dress Grandma had bought for me, a beautiful strapless evening blue gown. I put it on and admired myself in the mirror. The dress was indeed gorgeous. You look very beautiful, ma'am, Emma said as she stood at the door. Thank you, Emma. Please call me Sarah, I replied politely. She nodded and began helping me style my hair since I rarely do anything creative with it. She fashioned my hair into a sleek side bun, leaving a few strands around my face. Once my hair was done, I put on the diamond studs that belonged to my mother. I checked the time, it was already 7:50. I told Grandma and Grandpa to go ahead with the event without me, as I wasn't quite ready yet and I didn't want them to wait for me. I put on my heels and headed downstairs to my car. The driver was already waiting and opened the door for me. I got into the car, and he started driving towards the venue. Due to traffic, it took another 30 minutes to get there. By the time I arrived at 8:30, I thanked the driver, exited the car, and headed inside the venue. As I entered the vast hall, it was clear that most guests had already arrived. I walked down the stairs slowly, feeling the eyes of the crowd on me. Many men were ogling, while some women gave me disapproving looks. I searched for a familiar face in the crowd and finally spotted Grandpa and Grandma talking to a few people. I made my way over to them. Hey, Grandpa and Grandma, I greeted them. Oh my goodness, Sarah, you look so gorgeous, Grandma exclaimed. You look lovely, sweetheart, Grandpa added while sipping his wine. Thank you both for this amazing dress, I said, giving them a quick hug. A waiter offered me a drink, which I accepted, and began chatting with Grandma and some of her friends. Sarah, dear, please come here, Grandpa called from behind. I excused myself from Grandma's friends and followed Grandpa. He led me to where Mr. and Mrs. Parker were standing. It had been years since I last saw them. James, Lauren, meet my granddaughter, Sarah Darrell, Grandpa introduced me. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Parker. Happy anniversary to you both, I said with a polite smile. Mrs. Parker and my mother had been close friends. After my mother's death, Mrs. Parker and her family used to visit us every weekend, but they eventually moved to London. Oh my, you've grown so much and look beautiful, Sarah. The last time I saw you, you were a teenager. You look just like Sophia, Mrs. Parker said, hugging me. Thank you, Mrs. Parker, I said, returning her hug with a tight smile. Oh, please call us James and Lauren. We're going to be family now, Mr. Parker said, taking a sip of his wine. I smiled at them as we continued discussing my education, life in Boston, and my business plans. Sarah, have you met Adrian yet? He would be thrilled to see you, Lauren asked. I realized she might not know that Adrian and I were no longer in touch. No, we haven't met yet, I said, and Lauren immediately began searching the crowd for Adrian, but he was nowhere to be found. They soon became busy attending to other guests, so I took the opportunity to excuse myself and went to find the restroom. After searching for a few minutes, I entered the restroom, did what I needed to, and was about to leave when I heard voices. I can't believe Adrian gifted you such an expensive necklace, it's almost worth millions, one girl said. Of course, it's expensive. Adrian always gives me the best, I recognized Jessica's voice. I don't understand why they want Adrian to marry that ugly fat bitch, Sarah, Jessica continued. Maybe she's just after his money, after all, he is one of the richest bachelors, another voice added. They continued to gossip about me for a few more minutes before finally leaving. I sighed with relief once they were gone. It seems some people never change. I fixed my lipstick in the mirror and quickly exited the restroom. I headed straight to the bar and asked for a drink. As I scanned the room, I felt someone's gaze on me. I looked up to see Adrian watching me intently. He looked even more handsome in person, with his sharp jawline and stubble enhancing his attractiveness. He wore a navy blue suit, and his tall, fit form was striking. I noticed Jessica beside him, talking animatedly, but Adrian kept his eyes on me. I turned back to the bartender and requested more wine. While I was sipping my wine, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around to find Adrian standing behind me. Hey, have we met before? He asked with a polite smile. I was about to introduce myself as Sarah Darrell, his childhood friend whom he had left behind when Mr. Parker cleared his throat over the mic. May I have your attention, please? I am delighted that everyone could join us for this celebration. I saw Mrs. Parker standing beside him with a sweet smile. She noticed me standing next to Adrian and her smile widened. It's been almost 27 years since I married this beautiful woman, and it was one of the best decisions of my life, Mr. Parker said, holding Mrs. Parker's hand. We also have a very special announcement. Today, our son Adrian Parker is going to begin a new phase of his life, he continued, and Adrian excused himself, walking toward the stage. We wanted our son to start this new journey with someone who can handle him, or rather, tolerate him and his messy habits, Mrs. Parker said, holding the mic. The crowd chuckled, and I saw Adrian standing on stage, forcing a smile as if he were being coerced. I suppose we both find ourselves in a situation we'd rather avoid. Luckily, that wonderful woman who will be marrying our son is here with us today. Please welcome Miss Sarah Darrell, the heiress of Amerio Enterprises. Sarah, could you please come on stage, dear? Mrs. Parker called, waving her hand in my direction. Several people turned their attention toward me. Taking a deep breath, I set down my wine and made my way to the stage. This is it. My new journey begins now. I walked with confidence and climbed onto the stage. You can do this, Sarah. Adrian POV. I arrived at the venue, and all the arrangements for the anniversary were managed impeccably by my staff. I spotted Mom and Dad in the room, engaged in conversation with some guests. I made my way towards them. Hey Mom and Dad, I greeted, giving Dad a side hug and kissing Mom on the cheek. Hello, son. How are you? You hardly visit us anymore, Mom said with a hint of sadness. I'm fine, Mom. I've just been busy with work. I'll definitely come and stay with you once I'm free, I replied. You did an excellent job organizing everything for today, Dad said, patting me on the shoulder. Anything for you both. I'm glad you like it, I replied, feeling pleased as I continued talking with them and mingling with other guests. Soon, I excused myself to attend to a few business associates when I noticed Jessica at the entrance. She immediately spotted me, and as our eyes met, she smiled seductively. She walked towards me in a short cocktail dress. Once she reached me, I quickly gave her a tight hug. You look so beautiful, babe, I whispered in her ear. She giggled and thanked me. We became engrossed in conversation with our friends and business partners. A few minutes later, Chloe and Justin joined us. I was still unsure whether Chloe and Justin were a couple. We were all chatting together when Chloe spoke with Jessica, while Justin discussed his new project with me and Noah. Our conversation was interrupted when I noticed everyone looking towards the entrance. I ignored the crowd and continued talking until Justin exclaimed, Wow! Who is she? This made everyone turn their attention towards him. I looked back to see whom he was referring to and was taken aback by the sight of a stunning woman walking down the stairs. She looked breathtaking with her angelic face and alluring figure. Her brown hair was neatly styled, and her flawless face was adorned with minimal makeup. The blue strapless dress she wore hugged her figure perfectly, making it hard to take my eyes off her. Almost everyone in the room had turned their attention to her. She descended the stairs with an air of confidence, her hazel eyes scanning the crowd. Her face lit up when she found what she was looking for, and she started walking towards the opposite side of the room, soon disappearing into the crowd. Who was that? Chloe and Jessica asked in unison. I shrugged, indicating that I didn't know. I don't know her either, Noah and Justin replied similarly. She's hot, Justin commented, earning a small punch from Chloe. Well, has anyone met Sarah yet? Noah asked, his comment dampening my mood. I haven't seen her at the party, Jessica replied. Do you know anything about her arrival, Chloe? After all, she's your sister, Justin asked. I noticed Chloe's expression shift from happy to irritated. She is not my sister, she can never be my sister, Chloe declared. Well, I just hope she doesn't show up at this party. At least then the engagement drama might get postponed, Jessica muttered irritably, and we decided to change the subject. I was engrossed in conversation with a business associate from Russia about our upcoming projects when I saw her again, the woman who had captured everyone's attention. She was now talking with my mother, possibly congratulating her. I made a mental note to ask Mom about her later. The woman had a warm smile on her face throughout the conversation with my parents. "Babe, I'm going to use the restroom," Jessica said, heading in the opposite direction. I nodded in agreement and turned my attention back to my mom, only to find that the brunette beauty was no longer there with her. I looked around for her but couldn't find her. "Have you seen your soon-to-be wife yet?" Noah asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. Once again, someone had to spoil my mood by mentioning her. "Well, I hope that never happens," I snapped at him. "I'm just kidding, don't be angry," Noah said, patting my arm. I knew he was only teasing, but even the mention of that gold digger made my blood boil. "Bro, did you try talking to Sarah about the agreement? Maybe you both can come to some understanding and cancel the wedding," Noah suggested. "Well, she's a gold digger, she wouldn't back out of this wedding. This is the easiest way for someone like her to get what she wants," I replied. "She was so desperate that she even signed the agreement before the meeting. She didn't even try to talk to me or hear my opinion on this whole marriage fiasco." Noah placed a hand on my shoulder, trying to calm me down. He assured me that everything would be all right, and we went ahead to enjoy the party. While discussing upcoming projects with a business associate from Russia, I saw her again, the woman who had captured everyone's attention. She was asking the bartender for something. As she looked around the room, her eyes met mine. Her once bright hazel eyes were now filled with sadness. I was confused but couldn't take my eyes off her. She averted her gaze, but I continued watching her, captivated by something I couldn't quite place. "You should stop staring at her like that, it's kind of creepy," I heard Noah tease. I glanced at him and saw him smirking. "You already have a girlfriend and a fiancé," he chuckled, making me roll my eyes. "I had a feeling I knew her from somewhere, but I couldn't remember where," I replied. "Then go ask her yourself," Noah said with a smirk. I decided to follow his advice and started walking towards her. I tapped her shoulder to get her attention. As she turned towards me, I was lost in those hazel eyes. She looked even more gorgeous up close. If Jessica wasn't in my life, I would definitely ask her out. "Hey, have we met before?" I asked. She was about to respond when I heard Dad clearing his throat on the mic. "Well, may I have your attention, please? I'm glad everyone could join us for this celebration," Dad announced from the stage, with Mom standing beside him. As she saw me, her smile widened, and there was a hint of amusement in her eyes, which made me narrow my eyes in confusion. After Dad's brief speech about how grateful he was for having such a wonderful woman like Mom, he shifted the topic to my engagement announcement. Taking a cue, I excused myself and walked towards my parents, joining them on stage. Mom gave a short speech about her excitement regarding my engagement and then announced Sarah Darrell, who would soon be my future wife. I spotted Jessica in the crowd along with Noah, Chloe, and Justin. Jessica was smiling, but her eyes betrayed her true feelings. I wished Jessica could be in Sarah's place. She deserved to be Mrs. Parker, not Sarah. Mom waved in a direction and requested Sarah to come on stage. I followed her gaze and looked for Sarah but saw no one except that brunette beauty among a few other people standing beside her. I continued searching the room but couldn't find Sarah anywhere. "Ah, here comes my beautiful daughter-in-law," Mom said. I turned towards her and saw the same brunette beauty. She hugged Mom, who whispered something in her ear. I was momentarily stunned. She couldn't be Sarah. There must be some misunderstanding. "Is she Sarah Darrell?" I asked my father. He nodded, and I saw Mr. Amario walking behind her onto the stage, confirming that she was indeed Sarah Darrell. Fuck. I didn't expect this